And this has been my kitchen. Don't anybody move. I'm hungry. And I'm cooking again. And that means that SonicBlu is whipping up something special for you to enjoy in the kitchen. And we have got a nice Mexican fiesta planned for all of you out there. So if you have any question as to what we are making tonight, let me just give you a clue. We've got ground turkey. We've got some refried beans. We've got some lettuce. We got some tomatoes. And we also have some Ortega Fiesta flats. Some of these things are really convenient. They come in these bowls and you just fill them and you put out your favorite toppings in them and you just eat it. And they're really wonderful. Let me just show you what these look like. Oh. Has this ever happened to you? You go to the store and you get pre-made shells and this comes in the box? Well, there's an easy way around that. Don't throw those shells away. Do what I do. Make them into nachos! And that's what we're going to do tonight on Cooking with SonicBlu. We are going to make some really good homemade nachos for everybody to enjoy. Now, that's not going to go very long way, so what we're going to do to add to it is we're going to take some of these restaurant-style tortilla chips to add to the mix. So we are going to have nachos, nachos, nachos. And I was wondering when we were going to do a nachos episode, and I'm so glad that we picked now to do it because I've been craving nachos for a while. And a lot of you people say, well, gee, the easiest way to make nachos is go to the gas station. They got them on sale, $2.49 each. Yuck. Nacho cheese and chips. That's nachos? Not in my book and not in my cocina neither. No, we're going to make our nachos, and we are going to make any kind of nachos that you can buy anywhere else seem like child's play. Sabes que las niñas. But we are not going to do child's play tonight in the cocina. We are going to make them ourselves, and I'm going to show you exactly what we're going to do to make my special nachos that will just make a party in anybody's mouth. First of all, we got to brown our ground turkey. We've been browning this ground turkey for a while, but you notice there's a lot of water in there, and that's mainly because when you flash freeze or when you flash thaw ground turkey, it collects all the water that you use to flash thaw. So that's all the water that's collected in the package. So we are going to drain all of this off into our strainer. Don't want no water in my nachos. Gonna drain off all that water. This will also drain off all of the juices and fats that are in your ground turkey as well. And there we go. Pick this up, give it a lift, bob, and you'll notice that water comes out a lot better this way. Sometimes you have to bob your meats up and down in the strainer to get all that water out of there. And once all that water is drained out of there, which could be now until the next 50 gazillion years, what will really help too is if you start pushing gently your top of your meat here and push all that water out toward the bottom there. The reason why I say gently is because you don't want to break your strainer by pushing too hard. But you push just enough and it should work a lot of that moisture out of there. So once done, drop it back in, bring it back over to the fire. And now we are left with ground turkey, and let's get our water. I know I just drained all that water out of there, but I didn't know how much water that was. So we're going with fresh water. And we're going to add our taco seasoning mix. Oh, this is starting to smell good, and I love the smell of taco seasoning. Okay, we're going to go to our refried bean. Whoa, hello. That's not our refried beans yet. It's still in the can. So we need to get those refried beans out of that can, and the best way that I know how to do that is a little old kitchen magic. So, are you with me? Let's see if we can remove the can without even touching it. Alright, let's concentrate on that can and see if we can't blast it out of existence. So, are you ready? Get it into position. It has to be in the dead center for the magic to work. Alright, ready? Abracadabra, alakazam, get rid of that can as fast as you can. Hey, we did it. Look at that. The can is gone. That's refried beans we got going on there. So now we're going to turn the fire on. We're going to turn the fire on. Sometimes kitchen magic doesn't really work in igniting a fire. So sometimes it helps to have a little magic of your own kind. We call it a lighter. What was that movie? The Black Knight, Martin Lawrence, where he makes fire, you know, out of a lighter. It's like, stand back, I got fire! We've all got fire. Oh, right. Kind of like a scenario from A Kid in King Arthur's Court, only with Martin Lawrence instead of a kid. There he goes, somehow goes back in time to the medieval times. Woo! Doesn't take that long for those beans to heat up. And that's the sound of the hot pan that you're hearing with those beans being stirred up good. Now for nachos, when you got your beans all mashed up like that, what we're going to do is we're going to add a little water to it. Now the water, you just need a little splash of water. The water is going to help liquidify your beans so that way they're not all clumped in one area, especially when you're making nachos. You can actually spread this stuff over your nachos rather than just clump it in various areas. So if you like your refried beans like I do, add a little water and now you got your consistency like this. A little bit runny, and that's exactly what we want to have on our nachos. So we're just going to stir that up a little bit. And come back here, check on our meats. But since the meat's already cooked up and we're using the same ingredients anyhow, we can just come over here, see how our meats are doing, give it a little stir here. Almost done. Almost done, then we can cut up our veggies, put our nachos together, and then we will start having a fiesta like you wouldn't believe it. While you're waiting for your ingredients to cook, and before you start cutting up your vegetables, what you can do a little early is take your bowls and start preparing your nachos. Even though that's not quite nacho chips, but there's some bigger pieces. Plus, you don't want that plasticky thing. This is supposed to keep them all together. Doesn't do a very good job with it, does it?
Plastic. Best part of the whole thing to eat.
Yep, plastic. Make sure you break these down into nice sized pieces. There we go. Alright, now the rest of these chips will go into the bottom bowl. Okay, we're going to separate those two. Okay, next, let's get some of these tostitos. I'm going to put some of these mini rounds into a bowl. I don't want to put too many chips in there because you want to leave room for your ingredients, and you want a lot of ingredients, so about that much. Now this one already has plenty of chips in it, so we're just going to pop this back over here and make sure that's on tightly enough so we don't lose too much freshness out of those chips. Give our meat one final stir before we note that, yes, it is done. Take a look at our beans now, and yes, they are done too. Beans do not take very long to cook at all. And before you know it, before you can blink an eye, your hot ingredients are already ready to go. Next, come your cold ingredients, and I need a knife, don't I? Knife, where is a knife. I want a knife. Okay, just call me the Mad Cleaver. But I don't go after people with this. I'm after vegetables. So, what we're going to do firsthand is we're going to pick these little tomatoes up that we picked out of the garden, and we're going to use some of these too. And the best part about gardening is growing your own foods that you can use right away. And we're just going to pick some of these little vine-ripened tomatoes here. Also helps to have a sharp knife, and we just now got a sharp knife sharpener. I should use it on this thing. But I digress. There's a little part that's discolored here, so I'm going to cut around that. I don't know if that's fungus or what that is, but when in doubt, toss it out. Okay, set that aside, and the rest of the tomato is still good. So I'm going to carefully cut this up with this semi-dull knife. And I use this knife a lot, and this used to be the sharpest knife in the house. Now it's kind of dull, so I'm going to have to get after that with a knife sharpener. But this was perfect for slicing and dicing and all that stuff, and this one doesn't have anything.
Oh, nope.
So.
Nope, it's from a different one.
Oh, good. Alright, so let's get this one cut. Trim the top where the stem was.
Should we? Do you want to just go? Should I go just get the knife sharpener or not?
Oh, not right now.
Okay.
I'll get it later.
Okay.
Okay, and cut off the very end, because we don't need the end. We will take the deliciousness that's in
Yeah, the end's gross. Usually.
Okay, next for this little guy here. Okay, discard all of our unwanted parts. Serrated blades usually work the best on tomatoes, but I figured since I'm also used to using this knife, which is not serrated, and usually not for cutting things like tomatoes that are going to fall apart if you try to cut them with them, especially on a dull blade. And then just getting toward the fungusy part, so we're going to toss that over there and work with the rest of our good tomato right here. Once you get down to it, you know, it's cutting the rest of these tomatoes up is no problem. It's just getting into the full tomato. Okay, so those are the homemade tomatoes, and then these ones here, I believe came from the produce store.
Yeah, I think it probably did.
So we'll just cut one of these up. But you can't have too many tomatoes. Tomatoes are essential in Mexican food, and we love our tomatoes around this house. We really, really love our tomatoes. But watch those fingers, because sometimes you don't see what you're doing, and next thing you know, you need to go to ER to have a finger sewn back on. Now that's no fun in anybody's book. So if you keep an eye on what you're doing, no matter what goes on in the kitchen, always keep an eye on the prize, and that prize is your tomatoes and your fingers. So we're just going to cut them lengthwise like this, turn them around, cut them the other direction like this, and you've got diced tomatoes. Very, very simple to do. Show you that one more time. Cut them lengthwise like so, and you can choose however big or small pieces that you want. Mix and match them, have big, have small, and oops, this one. Going after the whole tomato again. We were already going to be saving that, but this should be plenty of tomato to work with for tonight's nachos. Alright, and you know, we still have extra tomato back here, so when you get down to the end here and you want to kind of cut around that nub there, and you got some extra tomato to work with as well. But that part there you really don't need. So when you get toward the middle there, just discard that little bun part, and then do the same thing for the tops. You can actually take the tops, you don't have to throw the whole top away, just cut around where that stem used to be, and just discard the stem part, and look, you got more tomato to work with. So before you think that we waste food around here, especially when we cut up our tomatoes, this is a little trick that I like to do, involving saving as much tomato as possible to help them go around a lot better that way. We can do the same thing with these little tomatoes. Cut it in half like that. Cut down to where the stem was, but not into the stem. The stem parts are icky. Okay, that's still good tomato there. And do the same thing with the tops of these tomatoes. And you'll find that you'll have a little extra tomato than what you had before, just by doing this little helpful tip there. There you go. Alright, so we're going to set that one off to the side. We're going to do the same thing over here. Alright, next. Let's save this big guy for later. Let's pop you in there. Go after some lettuce. Now, if you don't know how to chop lettuce on nachos, now you are going deluxe. Yes, we are. Just think of it as a burrito without the tortilla. Only all the tortillas are in chips and they're in the bottom of the bowl. Now, I know one thing about nachos is it has a lot of toppings on the top, but when you get toward the bottom, it's all just chips. There's a little secret to that, and that's to fill your bowls slowly with the chips, then ingredients, then more chips, then more ingredients. But since we already filled our bowls with chips, it's going to be kind of interesting to sort of layer our nachos accordingly, which is something I always forget to do, and then I always come back later, remove the chips, put half of them in, put the ingredients over them, put the rest of the chips in, put the rest of the ingredients in. I'm always forgetting about that, so sometimes making these videos helps in remembering what it is you have to do. So as I know, I need help in remembering some things. Okay, that should be plenty of lettuce to go around, especially for nachos. For burritos, I prefer to use a little more than that, but this is nachos, so we don't have to worry about too much lettuce on the top. What we have to worry about is that ground beef or ground turkey and those refried beans. Now, you see a lot of chefs doing this too with their cleavers. It's very careful work that you don't slice into your hand, especially if you have a sharp cleaver going.
Well, isn't that the truth?
But if you're an expert in the kitchen, you still have to watch out what you do. That is why it's very tricky to see chefs do this really quickly, but you seem like they're going to cut into their hand. There's a trick to that. Now, actually, let me show you real quick. Let's say you got some nice tomatoes on the cutting board, and you want to scoop them up, and you want to put them in there, but you don't want to use your hands because it takes forever to pick up every little piece. What you do is you take your cleaver like this, hold it at a 45-degree angle. So that way, when you slide underneath, your hand catches it from going any further, and since the blade is at a 45-degree angle, it's not going to slice into your hand, and still able to catch all of your tomato slices. So now you can easily and carefully, with your finger, push it right off. But watch out for that sharp edge, because when you slide your finger across, you might get too close to the edge. So always watch what you're doing, but that's just a handy little tip to get all of your tomatoes into the container. Now we're going to work on slicing and dicing, or shredding, our lettuce. I don't think I've ever shown how I slice tomatoes or shred lettuce. For those of you that are inexperienced in the kitchen, now this is where you really got to watch your fingers too. So you got to go as close as possible if you want them finely shredded, but you have to also hold all of the lettuce leaves together with your hands. So what you got to do is go slow, go as slowly as possible, and with one cutting motion going down, watching your fingers, you're able to shred your lettuce. Now sometimes it gets a little bit too much where you have to bunch the lettuce in your hand here. So continuing on, okay, watch your fingers, watch your fingers. One slicing motion is all it takes. Even a dull knife can do this, but preferably you want a sharper knife than what we've got right now. But always watch your fingers. And it's just one swipe of the blade. Make sure your fingers are not close to the blade. Well, even if they are close to the blade, make sure they don't slice into your fingers. And there you go. Sliced, shredded, ready to be topped on nachos. And of course, pulled from the garden. So let's go ahead and add those to the mix too. So fresh lettuce, same principle applies. Just chop it up real finely. Being very careful of the fingers. Chop them up very, very finely, and this will add a nice lush green color to our already existing iceberg lettuce, and you just mix that in, and there you have it. Nice mixed variety of lettuce.
There'd be a lot more, but we cut off the heads not a week ago.
We did, and we went through that already, so.
Yeah, we eat a lot of stuff.
That definitely doesn't last. Okay, what's next? Well, finally, the nacho cheese. Now, the nacho cheese will usually come because you're probably not going to make it yourself. And it'll probably come in a bag like this. Now the best thing about cooking nacho cheese is you can cook it in the microwave easily, but you have to make sure you do it right. So first, what you want to do is you want to go after a microwave safe bowl like this. Ceramic ones work best. You can also use glass, but I prefer to use ceramic because they last longer too. With a pair of scissors, I'm going to make a little cut across the top corner here. There we go. And now we can pour our nacho cheese and squeeze our nacho cheese right into the bowl there. Now I didn't give myself much of a cutting space. There's a reason for that. Because it makes it easier to get as much of that nacho cheese out of there as possible by working from the bottom and squeezing your way to the top. And you just squeeze with all your might until all that, and it gives you a sense of power too. It really does. Now you can actually push some of that excess nacho cheese down, and then like with a toothpaste roll, kind of just roll and squeeze as you go until all of the extra nacho cheese works its way back to the top. And now continuing to squeeze again and get all that extra nacho cheese we got in there. They always say, waste not, want not. And if you waste all that good nacho cheese that's still left in the pouch, then you must not want much nacho cheese in your meal. So we're just going to roll that all up, roll that up. And now we can finally, with our last bit of effort, push, squeeze all that excess nacho cheese on out. Got a little bit left, so repeat until we get all that out of there. Okay. Here we go. Nacho cheese it is. Okay. Now, when you cook your nacho cheese in the microwave, please make sure that you don't put it in for very long, because cheese, like chocolate, can singe and burn, especially in the microwave. What we're going to do is we are going to cook this for 30 seconds at a time. Stir it, and then 30 seconds more. Stir it, 30 seconds more. Repeat, repeat, repeat. So every 30 seconds until it gets to the temperature we want, we're going to keep checking, stirring, nuking, checking, stirring, nuking. And we nuke it some more, we check it, we stir it, rinse, lather, repeat, rinse, lather, repeat. So we're going to give it a stir. You want to stir it every time you pull it out of the microwave. That way everything cooks together. Now, our nacho cheese looks very congealed and still not hot. Of course, it only cooked for 30 seconds. So, back into the microwave you go for another 30. Let's get rid of this plastic piece before it ends up in anybody's food.
What? Plastic.
And always remember, put cutlery in its place. Whenever you're done with cutlery, always remember, put it away right away. The less accidents you have in the kitchen, the better. And why not wash as we go? And we gotta check our nacho cheese again. Okay, it's starting to get hotter, but the consistency's still too thick. You give it a stir. Giving it a stir also not only helps it to cook evenly, but it also helps the consistency mix better. Because nuking it is just half of the battle. You also have to make sure you have the right consistency to your nacho cheese. You don't want it separated where it's thick in some places and runny in other places. You want to mix that together, because as it cooks in the microwave, those ingredients in the nacho cheese are going to separate. So you'll find lumpy in some areas, very liquidy in others. So just mix it together and bring everything back to one consistency. Now, speaking about stirring, let's give our beans a stir. And that still retained exactly what we want. We want it gloppy like this. We do want that gloppy. Otherwise, normally for burritos, you don't really need to have it that gloppy. But this is nachos. And those beans are going to just coat over the top of our nachos very, very nicely. Okay, we're getting there. So that was 3 times in the microwave. Let's make it one more. And then, as you can see, the consistency is starting to thin itself out. And that's right around what we wanted at. So one more time in the microwave, at least one more time in the microwave. We might need 2 more. So while that's going in its final 1 to 2 phases, what I'm going to go ahead and do is do what I said before. I'm going to put some of these nacho chips in here. Not all of them. I need the bottom layer. So get your bottom layer of nacho chips, kind of like that. Kind of cover the bottom of the bowl there. And then what we're going to do, we're going to start with meats. Kind of give it a shake like this, you know, kind of like have it rain down onto your chips. Just a little bit though, not that much. And then take some beans. You want to slather that right over the top, and watch this. Goes right over the top, like just covering that bottom layer of chips. Then what you want to do, grab some more chips. No, that's wrong. Wrong. Remember this? Yes, we have nacho cheese in the microwave. We don't want to forget that. Oh, perfect. That is perfect. Look at the consistency now. That is what you want. It's a little bit gloppy, but for the most part, that nacho cheese is running right off of that spoon there. So you can definitely tell when your nacho cheese is ready when it's nice and thinned out like this, where you can easily go like that over your chips, and look at how it coats like that. That is what you want in your nacho cheese. So just give it a nice, good dollop of the cheese down here. And then grab some more chips. And you want to go over what you've just done there and cover that up completely. Okay, now we're ready for more ground beef. Just like before, kind of rain it over. Not too vigorously, you don't want it to shoot everywhere. You don't want a messy kitchen out through all of this. Okay, a little bit on this side. There you go. A little more beans. Just go right across the top like that. Right across the top like that. And one in the middle there. Okay, sometimes it helps to give it an extra stir. And now, more nacho cheese. You want to do this while it's very hot, because as nacho cheese cools, it will also thicken back to its original consistency. So you want to do this quickly while it's hot. Okay, and a little more on the top. Now, you're ready for your cold products. Lettuce. Just kind of, there you go. And tomato. And finally, a nice dollop of sour cream right on the top of there, if you're a sour cream person, or you can use guacamole if you're a guacamole guy. And then, before you can say arriba, you are finished with your nachos. And now they're layered so that you get plenty of the ingredients on the bottom and the tops, so that way you can enjoy your chips without having to run out of ingredients before you get to the bottom of the bowl. Now let me demonstrate how it tastes. This piece has a nice generous amount of everything on it, except for tomato, but I already know what tomatoes taste like. Let's see how good these nachos are. Of course, it would taste a lot better without the hair. I really need to get this haircut. But as you can see, all the ingredients blending together to make a great meal, a snack, something to share with your friends. If you're looking for something on Super Bowl Sunday to have, make nachos. Make all your friends happy. So if you are looking for a nice, festive, and very easy meal to make, or if you have a snack and you really want to eat some really good foods, throw together some nachos, but go wild with the ingredients so that way it fills you up better and you don't have to worry about eating a really big dinner after you're done with it. So this could be a meal in and of itself. And the finest things in a Mexican restaurant are the nacho appetizers, but sometimes the appetizers can be a meal in itself. So throw together your own version of nachos and see what different ideas you come up with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw myself in there
and throw them in your mouth.
And throw them in my mouth. But just make sure you don't throw them all over the floor because it can get quite messy. And don't throw it at each other either.
Oh, and try carne asada too. That might be fun.
We did carne asada before.
No, I mean like
Oh, for
mixed
your beef.
in with the beef. Wouldn't that be neat?
Yeah, you can
Like, go like
use
a full
actual
Mexican.
meat. You can use actual carne asada, which is basically diced up or sliced up thin steaks, and you can use that in your nachos as well. But the possibilities are practically endless. So see what different types of combinations you can come up with, and would love to see how your nachos turn out. This is SonicBlu coming at you with a humongous fiesta that we're going to enjoy here, and we hope that you've enjoyed this episode as well. And so we're going to say adios and buenas noches to one and all. I should really say buenos nachos to one and all. So enjoy. So we need to get the refried beans out of that can. We need to get those refried beans. Try that one more time. Not to forget. Oops, sorry. And in the meantime, I'm going to throw together my nachos, and then I already did throw my nachos together. So then, so enjoy. Yes, we do have this. Good. Barely, but we have some. Oh, goody. Okay, there's a nice dollop of sour cream right on the top of there. If you're a sour cream person, or you can use guacamole if you're a guacamole guy. Or peppers if you're a pepper guy.
I didn't think you were putting these on there.
I was.
Oh my gosh. I thought it would be funny. And now it's horrible.
How many?
There's just 3. There's just...
Oh, I didn't even know you put peppers in there.
I did it while you were looking away. It was a joke. And I didn't think it was... I thought you would have noticed.
I did notice a little too late.
Too late.
Just 2.
It's a green one.
Green?
Yes. Right at the top. It was right where the...
Wait, there it is.
Okay, there we go.
There it is.
Gosh, I am so sorry. I thought you would have noticed.